Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is on 5 tips to help you with the interview stage of the application process. Before I begin, I want to talk about my own experience. I managed to get 4 interviews and I was bricking myself in between each one because I felt like, what if they bring up something from my personal statement and it doesn't match what I say? And if I can go back, I wish I could change my mentality. You've got to really view this interview as an opportunity and not an obstacle. Just think about it. Up until this stage, everything's black and white. You've got to meet your minimum requirements for grades, your minimum requirements for work experience, and then you've got to put it all in a personal statement which has a word limit, alright? So it's all very limiting. But when you get to sit down in front of an interviewer, it's actually an opportunity to just sit back, engage, and let your personality just shine through. So start changing your mentality about it and everything else will just fall into place naturally. So tip number 1 is very basic. It's to just find out what style of interview you've got. Like, you could have an MMI one, which stands for multiple mini interview, or you could just have a one-on-one, or some unis have a mixture of both. So you just want to find out what style it is, because depending on the style, you're going to have to change the way you're preparing for it. We're going to have a lot more content coming out on how to prepare for those styles individually. But for now, just make sure you know what you're getting into with your interview day. So yeah, tip number 2 is, a lot of people ask about this actually. They want to know about what wider reading they need to do in order to prepare themselves for the interview. Alright, now if you are going to read up on anything, make it your priority that it's your personal statement, okay? So if you're talking about a certain scientific area, okay, make sure you revise about that, alright? This is something they might use to question you about, so you just want to make sure you're on top of it. So if you are planning on doing any wider reading, make sure it's your personal statement firstly, and then feel free to read up on anything else. Alright, tip number 3 is to be as clear and professional as possible when it comes to communicating with the interviewer. Alright, now this was difficult for me as well because I use a lot of slang, but you've got to understand that in that moment, that interviewer is trying to see you as a potential vet speaking to a client, okay? So if you're just clear and as professional as possible, you'll get full marks from them for that. Alright, so tip number 4 is a really important one. When you get given a question or when you're practicing your mock interview questions, alright, try and identify what quality or skills that question is referring to. So if it's to do with teamwork, identify it. If it's to do with being calm under pressure, identify it. If it's to do with leadership skills, just identify it. This really helps when it comes to answering the question. And not only that, if you find yourself stuck and you've identified what quality the question's referring to, it enables you to link it back to an experience you had related to. So for example, if it's about leadership and you're stuck on the question, you can start talking about your own experience with leadership as long as it's relevant to the question. For example, if you're stuck, you can say, I'm not too sure about this scenario, but when I find myself in XYZ, I done XYZ. When they see this sort of logical thinking and clear speaking, it really helps getting top marks in that interview. And finally, tip 5, one that I would really recommend, it's one I've done myself. Try and socialize as much as possible coming up to your interview. It really helps to build like a conversational tone, so when you're there in the interview, you've got more confidence. What I mean by socializing isn't to just go out clubbing and stuff. I mean, just try and chat to your mates and as many people as possible. Like on the actual interview day as well, try and just speak to the fellow interviewees, see what experiences they've had with the process and just generally with getting into veterinary. I myself, I had a week before my interview where I was on like a school trip, and at first I was dreading it because I was thinking I'd rather be practicing for my interview, but it was actually the best thing because I was really with my mates for a lot of time and just chatting, and it helps build confidence and it helps build more of like a natural conversational tone. So that's it guys, I hope you found the video helpful. Like I said, we've got a lot more content coming out that's going to answer more specific questions, especially about the MMI and one-on-one interview styles. Be sure to check out our website as well. Okay, we've got some services on there. We've got the one-on-one interview tutoring service. Okay, so if you want to invest in yourself or you feel like you want to get some more mock interview practice in, be sure to check that out, and all the best for you. Good luck.